In the 1870s, in Lincoln County, New Mexico, an English cattle rancher named John Tunstall and his associate, Doc Scurlock, observe a young man being pursued due to some trouble he caused. They decide to step in and rescue him. This young individual is William M. Bonney, who would later become known as Billy the Kid. They take him back to Tunstall's ranch for refuge. Not long after, a dispute arises between Mexican Indian Jose Chavez and a man named Dirty Steve Stevens, which nearly turns into a violent altercation. However, Dick Brewer intervenes just in time, just as Tunstall, Doc, and Billy arrive on the scene. All four men serve as regulators for Tunstall. Charlie Beaudre grows curious about Billy's background and discovers that Billy has a history of having killed a man. During dinner that evening, Steve and Charlie taunt Billy, while Tunstall makes an effort to instill good manners in the young men. However, it soon comes to light that Billy had, in fact, killed the person who had been mocking him. Tunstall also takes this opportunity to teach them how to read journals, and they are surprised to find that Billy possesses remarkable reading skills. One afternoon, Lawrence G. Murphy, a prominent landowner, visits with a group of men, including Sheriff William J. Brady and his deputies. Murphy sees Tunstall's smaller but principled ranching operation as a potential threat or nuisance to his influence. Although Tunstall attempts to maintain a courteous demeanor, the underlying tension between the two is palpable. Later, J. McCloskey, a former employee of Murphy, arrives at the ranch in search of work and is kindly accepted by Tunstall. At a New Year's dance, the regulators partake in merriment, enjoying music, dancing, and drinks. Tunstall engages in a conversation with his attorney friend, Alexander McSween, while Doc enjoys a dance with Murphy's Chinese ward, Yen Sunday. When one of Murphy's associates tries to provoke Tunstall, Charlie steps in and gives the instigator a serious beating. The following morning, as the regulators make their way home, they become sidetracked while attempting to catch birds, causing them to lag behind and leaving Tunstall vulnerable and alone. Seizing this chance, Murphy's hired guns ambush Tunstall, killing him. Outnumbered, the regulators have no choice but to retreat, ultimately burying their fallen leader. Determined to achieve justice, Alex takes steps to have the regulators temporarily appointed as deputies by Justice of the Peace Wilson, which allows them to obtain warrants for the arrest of the murderers. In their efforts to capture one of Murphy's men, Henry Hill, alive, a hot-headed Billy ends up executing him in a restroom. This act triggers a shootout that results in the deaths of the remaining gunmen. Sometime later, Doc comes across sensationalized newspaper articles that describe the regulators as a perilous gang, led by the notorious outlaw Billy the Kid. These reports claim that Billy single-handedly killed 6 men with remarkable skill. Later, 3 of Murphy's followers track down the regulators, but the gang ambushes them, forcing them to surrender at gunpoint. During this encounter, McCloskey attempts to convince Dick to lead the group to Lincoln, aiming for Murphy's men to launch an ambush. However, Billy quickly sees through the ruse and fatally shoots McCloskey in the head. When the other men try to escape, the regulators open fire, eliminating them. Sometime after that, Doc reads yet another newspaper article detailing how Billy reportedly gunned down 3 men single-handedly, showcasing a remarkable shooting ability from an astonishing distance of 50 yards. The article features an image purported to be Billy, but it actually resembles Dick. The group discovers that Murphy has enlisted the infamous bounty hunter, John Kinney, to hunt down Billy and his crew. With bounty hunters chasing them through the West and no clear escape route, Chavez decides to guide the gang on a peyote journey. This hallucinatory experience leaves them disoriented, causing them to vomit and shoot their guns at random. Fortunately, they pass an Indian camp without any harm coming to them. The following day, Buckshot Roberts, an older man named in their warrants, finds their trail. Armed to the teeth, Roberts ambushes the gang, injuring both Chavez and Document. During the confrontation, he barricades himself in an outhouse and ultimately kills Dick. The remaining regulators manage to rescue their wounded companions and escape on horseback. A hurt Doc parts ways with the group to journey to Vermont, with plans to inform Dick's mother about her son's demise. In the meantime, Chavez reveals that Murphy's corruption led to the deaths of his mother and her Navajo tribe, leaving him as the final survivor of his people. He urges the others to abandon their desire for revenge. However, Billy assumes the role of the gang's new leader, vowing to avenge Tunstall's death. His initial target is Sheriff Brady. That night, Doc makes a clandestine trip to Lincoln to meet with Yin Sunday. He sneaks into Murphy's residence and asks her to join him, but she declines, fearing Murphy's retaliation. Dispirited, Doc departs. Doc reunites with the regulators, and together they advance towards Lincoln, where Billy executes the corrupt Sheriff Brady, and the gang eliminates his deputies. They later confront an enraged Alex, who informs them that they have been stripped of their deputy badges. Now officially outlaws, Billy maintains that their actions will attract President Hayes' attention to Murphy's wrongdoing. Determined and steadfast, the regulators take off their badges, fully accepting their new identity. Charlie goes to a brothel, looking for solace by simply being close to one of the women present. At the same time, in a saloon, a bounty hunter brags about his intentions to eliminate Billy the Kid for a reward of $200. However, Billy outsmarts him by secretly taking away all his bullets and then decisively kills the arrogant bounty hunter. The gang escapes to Mexico, yet John Kinney relentlessly pursues them. Overwhelmed by fear and outnumbered significantly, the group debates their next steps, facing dire odds of 100-5. Chavez and Charlie propose fleeing to California for protection, while Billy firmly argues that all they need to do is eliminate Murphy to finally resolve their issues. While in Mexico, Billy unwinds in a bathtub as Doc drafts a letter to Governor Axtell on Billy's behalf, proposing a meeting to discuss his surrender. Yet, at the end of the letter, Billy scribbles a postscript declaring he has had a change of heart and that the governor can, in essence, go take a hike. Meanwhile, Charlie meets a woman, marries her, and revels in the joy with music and dancing. During the festive occasion, Pat Garrett, who is about to be appointed sheriff, arrives with grave news. Murphy's men are plotting to assassinate lawyer Alex McSween and his family the following day. The regulators implore Charlie to remain behind due to his recent marriage, but he adamantly refuses to stay out of the fray. On the next day, the regulators reach Alex's residence in Lincoln to alert him about the looming threat. Shortly after, they realize they are encircled by Murphy's henchmen, which includes the infamous outlaw John Kinney and his crew. Realizing too late that they've been enticed into a deadly trap, the regulators face a fierce shootout that lasts all day. Murphy's men, convinced that there are at least 30 individuals inside the house, hesitate before launching their assault. Support arrives in the form of U.S. Army troops. Accompanying Murphy and Yin Sunday, Yin rushes into the house. Reuniting with Document, Murphy then gives the order for the soldiers to set the house ablaze. Alex's wife is permitted to leave without harm, while Chavez successfully manages to escape. Trapped within the smoldering attic, the gang begins to throw Alex's possessions out of the window, accidentally releasing a trunk that conceals Billy, who takes the opportunity to launch a surprise attack against their captors. In the midst of the turmoil, Chavez reappears, bringing with him the rescued horses. A fierce confrontation between Charlie and Kinney results in both of their deaths. Meanwhile, Doc and Yin successfully escape together. Steve aids a wounded Chavez in mounting a horse, but tragically, he is shot while shielding their retreat. Alex meets his demise from a Gatling gun, while Billy survives the ordeal and avenges his comrades by shooting Murphy between the eyes before fleeing. In the concluding section, Doc recounts what became of those involved. Chavez secured employment at a farm in California, whereas Doc moved east and married Yin Sunday. Alex's widow rose to prominence as one of the most notable cattlewomen in history, and Murphy's corrupt empire ultimately crumbled. Billy persisted in his life as an outlaw until he was eventually killed by Pat Garrett and laid to rest beside Charlie at Fort Sumner. Later, someone engraved the word "pals" onto their shared gravestone, symbolizing their bond. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you want to watch more videos like this. Thank you for watching and see you again soon. Take care.